Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Critter Moto coming at you from the Critter Den. And today we're going to do something a little different on my channel. We're going to talk about my bike. 2016 Honda CRF250l. And I'm going to let you know what I've done to it to personalize it for me. All right, so one of the first things, in my opinion, that a person should get when getting a dual sport, providing that the dual sport they've bought doesn't already come with these items, is bike protection. For bike protection, I'm talking about the essentials. Things to protect the levers, things to protect the engine, things to protect the rad. So what I've done for mine is I've gone with Emperor Racing, a company out of Canada. And I have the Emperor Racing lever guards, or bark busters as everyone calls them. I also have the Emperor Racing aluminum skid plate down there, or bash plate. And that's really great, nice and chunky, comes off nice and easy. I also have the Emperor Racing radiator guard over here. Let's take a look at those things close up. Okay, so here we have the Emperor Racing bark buster or lever guard. You can see I've dropped it a few times and we got some scrapes here, but these things are tough as nails. They take a licking and keep on ticking. Over on the other side here, oh, I don't know if that's going to turn out. It's pretty dark. However, we do have an aluminum rad guard. This is important. This is important. You puncture that with a rock, it's going to end your day. Then if we come down to the underside of the bike, we have the Emperor Racing all aluminum skid plate. And this thing takes abuse. Two more things that I've done are the engine guards, which I happen to find on eBay, and the headlight guard, again on eBay. This is important, especially for me. I do a lot of my riding in behind my friends so that I can videotape them, and they're constantly throwing rocks at me. I don't know if it's because they want to get rid of me or what. Okay, anyway, here's a closer look at that light guard. It's pretty good. It's taken a few beats from rocks and trees, and the headlight, the glass is still all great. Also, the engine guards down here, they don't really protect the header too much, but I really haven't found anything that really does a great job at that. However, they do protect all of this when she's laid on her side. This is all protected. On the other side, it's all protected. So they work really well. And the fit on these was surprisingly spot on, especially being a relatively inexpensive eBay find. And another must-do that had to be done to this CRF after it came right off the floor was tires. So what I did is I went with the Moto Z, or Motos, Tractionator Enduros. And I gotta tell you, these things are awesome. This one here, one season on it, still has a fair amount of tread on it. I changed it anyways though. But this one took me all the way down the Oregon coast last year from Vancouver Island, all the way back, as well as a full season of off-road riding. So, I mean, they last. That was, geez, 3,800. Probably I'm close to 5,000 kilometers on this rear tire. So they do a good job. All right, so there you go. That's what I've done to protect my bike for when I'm riding off-road. Now let's take a look at some of the things that I did just for me. So one of the first things I had to do to make this bike a little more comfortable or a little more personalized and suited to me personally, I had to raise the bars. I'm a bit taller, between 6'1", 6'2", and I found that the stock height of the bars was just a little too low when I was standing up and riding. What I did is I ended up putting 35 millimeter bar risers on here, or roughly 1 3/8 inches. It seemed to be the largest size that I could raise the bars without having to replace all of the lines. I still have some play in the cables, wires, and lines. So there's a quick look at those bar risers. They go in nice and easy, plug and play. I picked those up at my local Honda shop and just took out the top, slid those in, and put her back down. Nice and easy. but a world of difference. So a couple of other things I did just for comfort. I like to listen to music while I'm riding. Mostly on the street though. I tend to turn the music off when I'm off-road. So I do have a Sena Bluetooth, and to do so I stream through the phone. The problem is how do I hold the phone? Well, I could put it in this tank bag. We'll get to that later. But what I did do is I used the Quadlock here. Great system. Hangs onto that phone like crazy. This is an older phone. I actually use this for my navigation as well. So I download maps and put it on this phone, and away we go. Eventually I'd like to build a navigation tower and get this guy up in here. But for now, it's on the Quadlock, which, like I said, holds super strong. I've taken some good spills on this, and this phone has never moved. I've also gone pretty fast off-road, and again, this phone has never moved, never fallen out. To power the phone, I've installed a USB port right here, a double USB port, and I picked this one up from Giant Loop, off of their website. It's bulletproof as well. Another thing I did to my bike, which I consider a must-do, was change the tank. The stock tank on these things is crazy small. In fact, it's only about 2 gallons. So I put on the Achirby's tank and got up to 3.1 gallons, roughly 11 3/4 liters. Anyways, I'm a type of guy that likes to ride long, likes to ride far. I just ride a lot. So I was really limited with the stock tank. This was worth its weight in gold. Picked this one up from Fortnite. Yeah, it's been great. I would get on the stock tank about 200 kilometers. But on this tank, the farthest I've gone so far is 360 kilometers. It didn't run empty. I was a little nervous, but at 360 kilometers, I still had a little bit more to go. Luckily, I found a gas station. That was on my trip to Oregon. The thing I like about the Achirby's is it's a bigger tank. It feels bigger. I like the feel of it. It also freed up everything back here for luggage. I don't have to worry about the Rotopacks back there. However, Giant Loop just came out with a gas bag, and I'm thinking about maybe picking up the smaller one just to increase my range that much further. So moving right along, another thing I did was get rid of the stock mirrors. I went with these adventure style mirrors with the ram mount. Picked these up at Giant Loop as well. You know, everybody's seen these things. I went with the I can't remember the model of what it said, but the Adventure Tech style. It's not the round one, mainly because I do a fair amount of road riding as well. I always ride the road to get to the bush, and I do touring on this thing, on this little bike. So it was important for me to be able to see a lot more, have a wider field of vision behind me. But yeah, these things are great. There's no vibration on the highway, even with the knobbies. And speaking of touring and riding long distances, I almost forgot the most important thing to do to this bike. If you're going to be running the stock seat, get rid of the strap. I left that strap there when I did that Oregon trip, and I think I have a permanent impression in me behind from that strap. This was the simplest, easiest, best mod ever. It makes the stock seat bearable. Another thing that I did for long touring was I built a toolkit. You can pick these things up. They have like purpose-made toolkits. I just happen to have some extra ABS pipe laying around. So this toolkit cost me absolutely nothing. I had all the pieces in the shop already. It's just a chunk of ABS with a cap back here, glued on, a couple of clamps holding on to my pannier racks, and then a nice hand-tight, oh boy, it's tight, sort of hand-tight lid back here. What keeps this on nice and tight when you're cruising the bumpy roads and stuff is it has a rubber washer in here. So right on the edge is the rubber washer. You cinch it down nice and tight, and that creates pressure to pull it up against the threads, and it won't come loose. And then inside I just have my tool roll. So I have in there every single tool that I could possibly ever want to be able to do any kind of maintenance on this bike. I did have to take off the stock toolkit, which, you know, set down in here just to be able to make some room. But everything that I would have had plus more is now in here. One of the other things I added for when I'm touring down the road is the screen. We saw that earlier. This one is the Baja Works, and I picked this one up off of CRFs only. It's a real simple installation, just goes right on the front plate here, 4 screws. And you know, for such a little screen, it really does do a lot. It takes a lot of the wind off of my shoulders, off my torso, throws it up with the helmet. No buffeting. When I'm off-road, it's still small enough it doesn't get in the way. And something else that I've done to this bike that should almost be thrown into the must-do category is I got rid of the stock exhaust. And I went with the FMF Q4. And the reason for that, personally, it sounds cool, but mainly it's the weight savings. Because the stock plate, this thing weighs a ton. No, just kidding. The weight savings is incredible. That thing weighs probably 4 times the amount that thing does. This thing is next to nothing. All right, so nearing the end of my bike and what I've done to my bike, one of the biggest investments I have is my gear. I'm running all the Giant Loop stuff. A big fan of these guys. Their product is top notch. It's bulletproof, waterproof, really great build quality. But on a personal note, what got me going with Giant Loop is I was at the Vancouver motorcycle show, and Giant Loop happened to be there, and this was 2 years back now. And anyways, there were some other luggage companies there as well, pannier companies as well, and you know, I was talking with them when the question came up, what bike do you ride? And I told them I have a Honda CRF250l, and I'm planning on making that my adventure bike. The usual response I got was not well received from some of the other companies. However, when I went to the Giant Loop booth, not only did they get really excited about it, but they started telling me about all the stuff, and then they found some photos and showed me their stuff on a 250L. Right there, the fact that that particular fella, I can't remember his name, I'm so sorry, but the fact that that guy was totally interested in my bike sold me right there. The fact that their product is second to none is just icing on the cake. I find that all of their staff, all of their employees, the whole Giant Loop team are just great people to deal with. Highly, highly recommend them. Anyways, we have the tank bag, we have the panniers, this one, I forget the name of this one, sorry. I am looking at, like I mentioned earlier, adding the small gas bag as well. And yeah, Giant Loop didn't pay me to say any of that. I'm just saying that because I believe in their product. And finally, to complete the tour of what I've done to my bike, with all this Giant Loop stuff, we need a place to put it. So what I have here, right here, is the Dirt Racks company out of Vancouver, I believe. And it's the whole system, mounts to here, mounts up to your subframe. It just works great. And one thing I noticed for myself, which is sort of a bonus of having such a rock solid mounting system, is when I am in the bush and I need to lift up the bike, I just grab these and lift her up. See, she's not that heavy. So thanks for watching. That's my bike in a nutshell. Possibly do some in-depth reviews on some of this gear. Hopefully we can get out camping soon enough and I can really put these giant loop bags to the test. Send you guys out with me on some camping videos. If you liked what you saw, subscribe, hit that little bell so you get notified when I post new content. But yeah, thanks for watching, and get out there.